Welcome in, Huntsville. Another wonderful good morning to you. Thanks for waking up with us.
What do you love about Huntsville? What makes this a great place to be?
Everyone here is very genuine and very kind and friendly. You never hesitate to speak up and say hello or good morning or just acknowledge the person walking by.
The thing that I love most about Huntsville, I love the peace that Huntsville brings. I love the peace that it gives me.
I feel accepted and part of the town and like I belong here.
Huntsville is where my lovely wife lived when I met her, so I moved here. So I'm pretty thankful for her.
For you in Huntsville, Texas.
Go. Welcome in. Good morning, Huntsville. I haven't been here for a week.
The volume was not on.
Yeah, and that's one of my checklist things that I never check. Of course, I just took it for granted. Welcome in here on a Monday. Wow, we just had a great intro, too.
We did.
Karen.
I hate that you guys missed it.
Yeah, it was we just gave away $1 million, and so now, unfortunately,
Better luck
the money's
next
gone. No, welcome in, friends. Thank you, Jennifer, for that. We appreciate it. Welcome in. I haven't been here in a week, and so I had to reset the system, and we are live here this morning on a Monday. Welcome in episode 70 as we continue to rock and roll here on Good Morning Huntsville. We appreciate you joining us. Let us know what you're thankful for this morning. Our studio is brought to you by our good friend Elliot Herzlich of Elliot's Jewelers, and also we work in collaboration with Paul Oley of the Gallery. Of course, I'm Rob here, joined as always. I saved the best for last, Karen Denman. We were just talking, Walker County Federal Credit Union. We'll learn a little bit more about some things going on this summer with summer rates at WCFCU. But
Right.
we just mentioned, man, it was great energy coming on about pool parties and children and all that. What have you been up to, Karen?
Not much. I went to see my mom Saturday and spent Sunday in the pool.
Let's go back to our conversation about children, because we're getting in the rhythm right now of, this feels like deja vu having to repeat this. But, we're in this rhythm now of a week. Today is the 1 week birthday of baby Caden. And when did things change with children where you got to feed them every 3 hours? We didn't have sonograms. My mom told me, never had a sonogram.
Nope.
I remember I was telling Russell, and we'll have Russell Humphrey on here in just a little bit. Growing up, we had an F-100 pickup truck. There was a limited number of these specific F-100 models made that my dad had. It was a used truck, and I'll never forget, just one bench seat. There was not a cab, and we'd all pile up, go down to South Texas to visit my grandparents on my dad's side. And it was my dad would drive, my sister would sit next to him, then my brother, then my mom. I'd sit in my mom's lap. We had no car seats. We were fine. Here we are.
Right. And no seatbelts either.
So it's just weird how things change. And
is weird.
But you just gotta,
Just roll with it.
Just roll with it. We were talking earlier. Just roll with it, just like a boulder. We're going to keep going downhill and keep rolling here in Huntsville, Texas. Karen, it's been a fun week last week, and appreciate Garrick Long hosting and being on with us last week. Of course, I was out with the baby, and everything's going good. It's one of those situations too. We had it with Braylon, but a little bit of jaundice, and that takes sometimes a week to get over. But thank the Lord, because last time, Karen, if we rewound to when Braylon was born, we would still be in the hospital right now.
Really?
8 days last time.
Oh, I didn't realize that.
Yeah, and it's because she had jaundice. They had to do the light therapy the day before. And great folks down in Shenandoah in the Woodlands area where Bridget had the baby last time. But there's always one everywhere you go. And we're always positive on this show, but there's always one that kind of throws things off a little bit. And last time with Braylon, there was a nurse that would not let us go home because Braylon's temperature was too low. Well, Bridget is a nurse herself. And, by day 7, let's be honest, by day 3, Mama's ready to go home.
Right.
So and she didn't leave that room for almost 8 days. So here we are coming up on day 8, and they're like, well, we can't let you leave. The baby's temperature's still too low. And Bridget started thinking, she's like, the nurse had walked out and left the thermometer, and Bridget, give me that thermometer. Well, Bridget knows how to check temperatures, obviously, and children's temperature. So she readjusted the thermometer to where it was supposed to be. And the temperature had been fine the entire time. So it probably would have knocked a day or two off of what we had already stayed.
Yeah.
So we didn't have that problem this time.
Well, that's good.
Thank goodness. And everything was A-OK.
And he's a big boy.
Oh, man. 11 pounds,
Big
10
boy.
ounces.
Yes.
There was a nurse there that said she had been at Memorial Hermann for 25 years. She goes, I haven't seen a baby this big. I can't remember the last time.
Wow.
And so, God bless Bridget. I'm being extra, extra nice to her.
Yes.
And she had the C-section, obviously, but you got to be extra nice to mamas all
That's
the time.
Right. All the time.
So you just got to readjust. So that's the message today. Be nice to mamas out there. Is that a good message?
Yes.
We're done. We can just kill the show the rest of the week.
Yeah, sounds good. Russell, you're next.
We will have Russell Humphrey coming on here in just a few moments. Today, you got to watch the rest of the week. Today, We've not put out that keyword yet. We're still collecting some prizes to give away throughout the rest of the week. But make sure that you join us all week long. Look for that keyword a little bit later on this evening. We will put it up on social media on our Hello Huntsville Facebook page. So you'll be able to find out what that keyword is and what you can win this week coming up. We normally have daily prizes, just kind of the routine with Bridget and I and the child. It takes a lot, honestly, to get prizes every day. And there's a lot of work that goes in on the background. And so we'll get back into that routine of daily prizes next week, but this week we will just have one more grand prize on Friday. We gave away $50. Paula Armstrong won last week, so we got to get her prizes, but we gave away $50 on Friday, some passes to the Color Bar Tanning Salon, and then Garrick has some Sam Houston State University shirts that he's also going to include in that, and Paula Armstrong was a lucky winner. We had a lot of fun with her on Friday.
Paula is a fun person.
So it was fun. I hopped on that with Garrick. Again, friends, let us know what you're thankful for this morning as you're waking up with us on a Monday as we continue to rock and roll and promote the good happening here in Huntsville, Texas. There's a lot of good going on, with everything, and the summer continues on, and we're already here on episode number 70, Karen. I was just counting last night, in fact, I want to say while I was asleep, but you really don't sleep in the middle of a newborn, but I was sitting there counting, and I think 5 months now that Bridget and I have been back, and, we go through 70 episodes, and we've been able to highlight a lot of great folks, organizations I didn't even know existed here in Huntsville. And later on this week, Friday, I'm getting with a gentleman that we're going to talk about his retirement, just retired from Huntsville ISD, 26 years. And so we're going to release a story on that. And so there's so many good people here in Huntsville that we try to lift up every single day. So Karen, what's been going on at the credit union? I did want to dig into this before we bring Russell on. You and I were chatting a little bit last night, and some summer rates going on right now for all your fun toys at
if you're looking
WCFCU.
for a boat or an RV or an ATV or vehicle or just anything really, credit cards, we offer those. Anything that you want to buy, we can probably finance it for you. So please give us a call and let us take a look and give us a chance and see what we can do for you.
What are those? I know some of it, of course, depends on credit and those kind of things, but what is typically, let's say I went out and I was going to, I want to go buy an RV. What does that typically look like for me as far as the length of that loan and also the rate?
They are all based on credit score, so there's a tier, but the lowest that we have on an RV right now is 7%, and we have the ability to go out to 144 months, which is 12 years. We don't always have to go out that long, but we can if we need to. Yeah,
that's great because it makes an opportunity for everybody that wants to be able to have an RV or to have an ATV or a motorcycle. One thing that you enlightened me with a year or so ago before we had left is not only do you provide the loan, but you also provide warranties for vehicles. Let us know a little bit more about that.
Yes, the warranties are based on the vehicle itself. So if you want to call me, give me your VIN and your mileage, I can tell you what's available. We do not have to have the car financed to offer the warranty, so don't think that you have to have it with the car with us. We'd love to have your car financed, but if you don't, we can still get you a warranty.
Yeah, Bridget and I had a Santa Fe that we had bought years ago and still have it financed through Walker County Federal Credit Union. The rate was tremendous, and we appreciate you guys taking care of us. And
of course.
The day I'm always a big fan of I can't wait until the day that I have that paid off.
Right.
So I was up in Fargo and, obviously was there. I've talked about it many times on the show. And my little Kia car that I had wasn't going to make it up there in the snow. And so I ended up buying an F-150 pickup truck. And now that I'm back here, I'm like, man, do I really want to have 2 car payments? Mm-hmm. So, that truck may be going up for sale sometime. Yeah. Speaking of things going for sale once in a while, I know I see items that you guys, I would assume that folks maybe defaulted on a loan or something happened and you have to sell those items.
Right.
Because I see those sometimes on Facebook that the bank puts out there. How does that process kind of work? And maybe as a consumer, I see something that you've posted on Facebook saying, man, I'd really like to buy that. How does that process work?
We have to take bids. So if we have anything that we get back, we do take bids on it, and sometimes it'll go to the highest bidder. If we don't get high enough bids, we can always send to the auction. But
We do have a little 2014 Toyota Camry, so if anybody's interested in that, give me a call and I can give you some information on that.
Okay. Well, there she is, Karen Dimon, Walker County Federal Credit Union. Always appreciate them. They're great service. I have all my bank accounts there, have my loan there. And whenever
we appreciate you.
Yeah, you bet. And when we started Hello Huntsville, first person I went to was Karen, and Denise took care of me on the other side. And so there we go. Everything's been good, and you get the big city banking without having the big bank, which is great.
Right. Yep.
Well, friends, again, we've got a great show lined up today. Let us know what you're thankful for this morning as you're waking up with us here, waking up with that attitude of gratitude that we always talk about. It's so great to be back in studio. Russell Humphrey joins us here in just a few moments. He is with the City Council, Mayor Pro Tem. We'll talk more about an event that he has coming up pretty soon as well that you'll definitely want to be a part of. And we will continue to rock and roll here this morning. For now, though, we'll step aside, we'll take a break, and when we come back, we'll hear from Russell along with Karen. Stay with us, friends. This is your show. It's Good Morning Huntsville. Hey, good morning, friends. Welcome back in episode 70 here on Good Morning Huntsville, where we always highlight the good happening in our community. As always, on a Monday, joined by Karen Dimon of Walker County Federal Credit Union for all of your banking needs. Please go by and see our great friends at Walker County Federal Credit Union. I promise you they will take excellent care of you. And, man, I just said I promise they will, because they will.
We will.
So they will absolutely
will.
Take care of you. Today, join Russell Humphrey. Good to see you, my man. How you doing?
Thanks. Doing fine.
Good to see you. Russell Humphrey here joining us this morning. We're going to be talking about an event that you've got coming up here pretty soon. But, you know, I didn't even think about this. I'm sitting next to two of our city council members today. So, man, what a privilege to have both city council members in here with us today on Good Morning Huntsville. Russell, what have you been up to? Let us know how things have been going in your world lately, my friend.
Probably the most prominent thing that I've had recently that's going on is having two grandbabies. My daughter had one back in January. My oldest son had one 4 or 5 months ago, May. So I went from 0 to 2 in a very short period of time.
That's great, man. It's the greatest feeling. I won't experience it for a while. What has it been like, you know, with these two grandbabies and you and Tish, and just I've seen Samantha's baby. I haven't seen your son's baby yet, but Samantha's baby, she is gorgeous.
Absolutely. It's really hard to explain. It really is. Everybody always says that experiences it, says, you can't believe how it is. You can't believe how it is. And I always kind of thought, yeah, I can imagine how it is, because I just think that I can vision anything, and I didn't vision it. It far outdid my expectations.
Well, Samantha, your daughter's already chiming in saying Preston says, "Hey, that's my Grumpy." So there you go. I never is that the name they call you?
Yes, it is.
Who comes up with the names, by the way?
You know, I asked that same question, and I didn't really ever get a clear answer. They want to say it's the babies, but the babies aren't talking yet, so I
Right.
kind of think it's a predetermined thing based on the children and their experience with you.
Yeah, love it, man.
Samantha, you're in trouble.
Samantha, there you go. She's letting it be known out there that Grumpy's joining us here today. Well, Russell, man, it's great to have you. You know, we've been wanting to have you on for a long time. We'll talk a little bit here about an event that's coming up pretty soon, but I wanted to dig in just a little bit about you. I believe moved here in 1977, and you've seen a lot of great things happen throughout this community. Attended Sam Houston State University, and that's where you met Tish. Also your children, two Sam Houston State University graduates. Just let us know a little bit about, you know, your journey here to Huntsville and what it's been like for these years for you, Russell.
Yeah, my journey with to get to Huntsville was probably about like everybody else's, but once I got here, my journey totally changed. Coming to Huntsville, I didn't realize it early on, but it would end up being our, what I call forever home, as best I can tell. I was able to procure a very fine wife from the university, and I often joke and say that she was the best thing I got from Sam Houston, and she is the best thing I got. And then after that, and we decided that we liked Huntsville so much, she even stepped off of her career path because she wanted to go to the big cities. And, you know, I came from the big city, so I did not want to go back to the big city. And we compromised. She was able to get employed locally here with the city and ended up doing 20 years. And the rest is history. Raised our two family members, my oldest son and my daughter. And I now look and have looked at Huntsville as they did a great job of giving us an environment to raise our family that you don't get just anywhere. You know, I know everybody thinks their town's the greatest, and that's all fine and good. I understand that. But I moved here in 77, and I'm still here today. So I've been here over 40-something years. I've raised two children, and I think it's time for me personally, to try to do some things to repay this community for what it's given me and my family. And that's just invaluable.
Well, again, Russell Humphrey joining us this morning here, serving on City Council's Mayor Pro Tem for the last 2 years. Been a city councilman, though, for 4 years. How did you kind of get into, and I know you just maybe alluded to it, saying, hey, it's time for me to give back a little bit, but what really got you involved with City Council?
That's interesting. My wife first, she did 8 years with the city council, and she and I discussed that, more me discussing than her, but I finally talked her into it. She wanted to do it all along. She just didn't think the timing was right. But we got that all worked out, and I made her the promise that if she would seek the position, I would be with her and by her side every step. So for the 8 years that she served, I attended every meeting that she had to go to or got to go to, just to be there, to be by her side and support her. And so doing that, it made me be aware and see what they did. And so when she was term limited, I decided to file for the position and try to carry on, you know, the good work that her council had done. And now I'm very, very blessed to be seated with a great council, and we are just couldn't be any happier with the way things are going on, the progress we're doing. But Huntsville deserves it, and that's kind of the deal. But if somebody would have told me that I would move to Huntsville to come to school and never leave Huntsville, I probably would have questioned it way back in the day. But after being here and experiencing it, it's just phenomenal.
Russell, I like what you said earlier about, everyone always says, oh, my town's the greatest town. Well, I'll say this, when I was living in my previous town where I grew up for 30 years, I said it was the greatest town. And then we came to Huntsville, and now I say Huntsville's the greatest town. And no disrespect to where I grew up, but being in Huntsville, I talk about it every single show because I think it's important to highlight the good in our community. That's why we started Hello Huntsville, why we started this program every morning to talk about it. But it really is. And there's so many folks that get involved that make a difference in the community. Karen, you serve on city council as well.
Yes.
Have you ever been voluntold here in Huntsville, Karen?
Oh, yes.
Have you
Get
experienced
voluntold a lot.
Have you experienced that, Russell?
From time to time, it's just, but it's a perspective.
Yeah.
It's just something that people we're called to serve, and so it's just part of it.
What is that process like? I'll ask Karen first, and this is a really unique perspective because both of you guys have the fortunate blessing to serve on city council. Karen, what has that process been like for you? I mean, this is your first time being on council, if I'm not mistaken. Is that right? And so,
Correct. Yes, this is my first
what
term.
What has that been like for you, just learning the judicial process, I guess you could say?
I've learned a lot, and I learned something new every time. Also, this year I was able to serve on the Charter Review Committee, and so I've learned a lot through that as well. But honestly, I mean, the council that we have, I've looked back at, previous council meetings. They're all, televised on the website. But we've got such a good group of people right now. We really have a great council.
Russell, you guys are having to work through some transition, some change right now. Of course, Mayor Broniger he's terming out here in November coming up, and some great opportunities on the horizon, and looking forward to seeing how things move forward. One thing that I said in some of the challenges, I mean, right now, having to meet in the library because City Municipal Building has been demolished and being rebuilt. What's that been like, meeting at the library?
I was with you when we were trying to sort out where we were going to meet. We were looking at everything. Everything was on the table, and staff did a fabulous job in converting the library meeting room into a temporary council chambers, and they've done a fabulous job. And if a person was to walk, I imagine there's a lot of cities that probably don't have as nice a meeting place as we have right now
With the library.
with the library. And that's talking about a lot of towns, with there being a lot of cities in Huntsville. I mean, a lot of cities in Texas. Our staff is unbelievable. They took something that was just a big empty meeting room that was very nice for the community, and we're temporarily utilizing it for our meeting room, which was a great thing. It never came up to me because I didn't. I'm very fortunate as a council member. You do certain things, and the other things just happen. And so with our staff and the administration at the city, we had no idea. When we walked into that library the first time, I just thought, wow, this is crazy. They took an empty room and put a dais and put all the equipment, and I never really thought about it. But there's a ton of equipment in there. Mm-hmm. So it was an interesting journey, but it worked out real well. And I think for the little short time we're going to be in there, it'll be wonderful. And then what'll really be wonderful is if it works out, we get to if I get to be in that new city hall, that will be absolutely fabulous, because it is really what this community deserves, because we utilized our used to be existing council chambers for, I think, close to 50 years. Mm-hmm. So we're entrusted by the citizens to build a new city hall, and I think the citizens deserve a place, not so much as Taj Mahal, but a place that they can go and do their business and conduct their business more effectively and efficiently. And I think that's what we're looking forward to.
I had the privilege in serving again on our tourism committee because I wanted to kind of learn the inner workings about how, I guess you call it the judicial process that I mentioned earlier, works. And I think for folks, if you want to really get involved and learn more about the city, apply to be on a board. There's a lot of opportunities for folks to serve on city boards. As I stated earlier, the tourism board, because for me, seeing my hometown that I grew up in grow so fast that I felt like the culture wasn't embraced, but it was changed. I said, man, in Huntsville, my biggest thing is I want to figure out a way to help preserve the culture that we have while the growth, because you can't stop the growth. You have to embrace the growth. And I think our leadership has done a phenomenal job, with you guys both on council and many other of our city leaders doing a great job as this community continues to grow, but it still has the feel of Huntsville. And I think that's what everybody is really looking for. Russell, one thing about that and I brought all that up about serving on the tourism board, because I'll never forget, we walk in, I had no idea that we were going to sit in those council seats for our meetings. And of course the nameplates were removed, but it was a really cool feeling, whenever we were meeting at the old building and sitting up there and being in those in our meeting that we have once a month or so. And I'll never forget, and I was joking around with our city manager, Aaron Colhavy, about this, and I've got to find the photo, but where Mayor's seat is, there was like a switchboard or something there. And man, they should have made a plaque to bring this thing back at the new building, but there was gum stuck all over this thing. Did you guys know? Did you ever notice this or see this?
Yes, sir.
Do you know any of the backstory of this? Aaron
I do not.
This thing
I do
was
not.
Karen's looking at me like, what are you?
I have not seen it, but my seat was kind of on the side, so I didn't see that.
Yeah, I don't know if it was like, this was, and you mentioned 50 years. This may have been 50 years of gum that's been piling up here, man.
Gross.
It was an old switchboard, and I was joking around with Aaron Colhavy about this, because in Georgetown, where I grew up, we had the 9th grade center and then the high school, and there was some classes in 9th grade that we took at the high school, and so we would walk across the parking lot, if you will, from the 9th grade center at the time to the high school. Well, there was this post, and one day, one kiddo stuck gum on it, and it took off. And by the end of my senior year, that thing was drenched in gum.
Yeah.
So, I don't even know how we got into that discussion, Russell, but, I just wish that the old gum plaque would have came back with the new building. That's not going to happen.
No, I hope that'll be the only sticky situation that the city council had to deal with.
That's where I was waiting on it to come out.
That would be awesome.
Well, again, Russell Humphrey joining us here, current Mayor Pro Tem here for the City of Huntsville. You've been, as I talked about committees earlier, you also served on the Finance Committee chair for 2 years. Did some of that kind of help you as well learn about the process of how city government works, Russell?
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. And I'd be amiss if I didn't say it, I was a city employee for 10 years. And during that time, I was not involved at that level of council and administration and all that. I was out at the service center and did different things in what I consider the blue collar level of it, where all the real work happens. I wasn't in administration where you sat in a desk at City Hall, and that was always a joke between the service center and the City Hall. But the goings on that the City Council takes care of it's a lot, and it's not because I'm doing it. It's just because now I've been exposed to it. But it's a lot of stuff. But the thing about it is, it has to be done. It's imperative that it be done. It's the only way that the machine that's the City of Huntsville can operate. If it's checks and balances, it's just everything. But the thing about it is, what we do, yeah, it's very critical, but the real work is done by the staff. All we do is do the technical part of it, and the staff does the rest of it, and we've got a fabulous staff.
I did want to bring up too, since bless you. That's all right. Hey, we just had our very first sneeze on Good Morning Huntsville.
I felt it coming and I couldn't stop it. Sorry.
That's perfect. My biggest fear is getting the hiccup. I get hiccups almost every day. Yeah. I don't know why. And now my 2 children have them. Braylon gets hiccups there. It's like a gene that literally happens. And I always just say, Lord, please don't ever let me get that. Because when I get them, they don't go away for about an hour. And so congratulations. Karen Denman has just won the first ever Sneeze on the Show award. I don't know what prize we can give away for that.
I don't know either.
Brittany's giving away more passes to the tanning salon, and but you're getting your tan on at the pool, so I don't know if you need those. We're going to think of another prize. We're just having some fun this morning. Russell, appreciate you being here. I still wanted to dig in a little bit more. Again, Russell Humphrey with us this morning. You came here in 77. You have been involved just hit the ground running, Russell, and that's so important in this community, and people recognize that. You were also worked for the Public Works Department for about a decade. Let us know a little bit about that and what that journey was like for you.
That was very interesting. It showed me, I didn't realize it at the time, I'll be real honest, but looking back at it, it showed me a lot of diversity within the city. because I was very, very mobile. Let's just say that I moved and worked and experienced a lot of different departments, a lot of different positions, and it was all mainly on my account because I wanted to be able to experience different things because there's such a vast array of things that the city does. You know, I was in the water department, I was in the purchasing and warehousing, I was at wastewater, water distribution. There's just a ton of things that goes on kind of behind the scenes that makes, you know, your toilet flush, your sink have water, the things that the average person, or at least for me, I took for granted. And after experiencing being employed by the city, it gave me a different perspective on what all, you know, is provided. And so it was really, really neat to experience all those things, not to mention the people that I got to meet in those departments. I'm still really good friends with a lot of the people that I worked with, and I see them all the time. I see them at this grocery store. You know, I see them walking down the street. I see them, you know, in church and stuff like that. And so it's just an extension of Huntsville, and it just goes to show you, and you hit on it a while ago, Rob, the small town mentality can still be retained no matter what size the size of this town gets to be, because it's the heart of the town that's going to dictate how the feel is. And the heart's not going to go away because the people are the heart. And so it doesn't matter how many stores we get, how many businesses we get. Those are all great things that we want to get and strive for because it helps our community. But the people are the community, and they're the heart of the community. And that's the part that, you know, we don't have to worry about if we get a big factory in town or something. All that's going to do is provide places for people to be employed. It's going to provide revenue for us to try to provide the services that we provide for the citizens. And so as long as the people are here, are the same, you know, the same type of people that we have here, like I said, I've been here for 40 years, and it's always been the same kind of people, you know. And now I've just gotten to be one of those people, because when I came here as a college student, I probably wasn't quite that people. But now I'm still striving, but, you know, hopefully I'm closer to being one of those people and one of those components of the city.
Russell Humphrey joining us this morning here on Good Morning Huntsville. Thanks for waking up with us today. A lot of comments coming in. We'll continue our conversation with Russell here in just a few moments. I want to acknowledge some folks that are joining in. Emily O'Rear, by the way, said bless you. So our first sneeze.
Thank you, Emily.
Our first sneeze and our first bless you on the show this morning from Emily O'Rear. Bill Doggett, our county commissioner, joining us as well. Good morning to you, Mr. Doggett. Good to see you. Rick Boning, I love what I love this. He said, quoting Russell, "Let's go Huntsville." Russell, where did that start from? I love seeing that on this show because you join us almost every single morning just as a viewer, and you always put in the hashtag, "Let's go Huntsville." Where did that start from? I love it. And that's part of y'all's campaign slogan as well.
Yes, absolutely. It was kind of a spoof from the national politics. There was, I think, some kind of a saying about "Let's go somebody Brandon" or something like that. Anyway,
Yeah.
I just thought, well, you know, that's kind of neat, and so we kind of did it as a, you know, kind of just joking. And some of my campaign people that are helping with my campaign, you know, made me a sign that says "Let's go Huntsville" on it, and I've just adopted it, and I like it. I really love it, and it's just kind of my little unofficial slogan.
Yeah, I love it.
I think it's awesome.
I love it. I love seeing it every morning, too. If I don't see it, I kind of get discouraged. So I think sometimes you watch on our Huntsville, Texas News and Events group, and so we don't see those comments flow in from that group for whatever reason, the system that we use. We broadcast this on 5 different platforms. 3 of those are on Facebook, but we don't see the interactions with the group. So if you're watching this morning in the Huntsville, Texas News and Events group, make sure that you head over to our Hello Huntsville page, like the page, and comment there so we can actually see that interaction. Again, appreciate Russell Humphrey joining us this morning, as Rick Boning was also saying good morning. And I like what my mom said. My mother is in Georgetown, and I know that, you know, she and I have talked a lot about, you know, the culture of that community and how it's changed. And she was born and raised there, seeing a town go from, you know, maybe 2,000 people to 100,000, which has been nuts to see that. In my lifetime, I saw that community grow from about 14,000 to 100,000, which was a lot just in my short life. But my mom said this, and I love this. She said, "So great that everyone works together to keep Huntsville, Huntsville."
Absolutely.
And
Absolutely.
I think that's so important as a community grows, and I know you can say this as well. We welcome people. We want people to be in our community. You want people to move here, but you also want people to say, when you come to Huntsville, you're going to learn about Huntsville. You're going to embrace Huntsville. And Russell, one of the ways that folks can do that, and you did it years ago, was being an HLI.
Absolutely.
Class of probably the best class ever, right?
That's what I always hear, but your experience is what's going to dictate it. The class that I was in was the best class for
No,
me.
it wasn't.
For me.
See, for you, yeah.
For me. And I understand what everybody says
Yeah. It's a
because
joke,
it's a stand-in joke. But the thing about it is HLI is anything but a joke. Even people, when I went into it because it was a function that the chamber had, and I wanted to experience it just to see what it was like. But I had this thought in my mind that, I thought I knew, pretty much everything there was to know, so to speak, about Huntsville as far as stuff. But going there, you see things that you don't know about. So even the people that think they know something and know a lot, and they've been here all their life, there's still something to gain by experiencing, even if it's only the camaraderie from the other people in the class, because you will have, and everybody says it, and it's the truth. You will have friends, lifelong friends, from that HLI class that maybe we're already friends with a little bit, but it's going to change, and some that you didn't know, and it's going to become a very strong bond from that point forward. And a while ago you were talking about Bill Doggett. That reminded me. Bill Doggett goes back a long ways with Tish and I. He lived right across the street from us back in the 70s. And we laugh kind of somewhat every once in a while. He's a county commissioner. I'm sitting on city council. If we'd had this conversation 35, 40 years ago, we would have both just went, yeah, right. But here we are. And it's just that makes Huntsville what Huntsville is. People think, and anybody out there that thinks that, oh, I can't do that, I got news for you. You can do it. It's not a matter can you do it, it's will you do it.
And I was going to say, and if you're in Huntsville, it's not just can you do it, you can do it. It's not will you do it, it's you're going to do it. Is the way that it works in Huntsville, and it's great. Emily, by the way, Arir was chiming in earlier. She said, I was born and raised here and have lived here almost my whole life and have learned so much about this community during HLI. That's the chamber through the Huntsville Leadership Institute. Russell, one thing that I did want to point out, and this meant a lot to me, is that it's so important to, I end every show with the same phrase where I say we're not strong enough alone to make it on our own. We need each other. A couple of years ago, I had launched an online Christian radio station, just kind of as a hobby, but that's my quote-unquote ministry. I wanted to reach people, and I said, even if it's just one person that their life has changed through that, if it's on for 10 years and one person, it's worth it. And you had reached out to me, and this was a couple of years ago, and said, is there anything that I can do to help? And I told you this on the phone the other day, and that meant the world to me because you wanted to be involved with something that I had started. And at the time we said, hey, I appreciate you reaching out, because I said, all that you really need to do is just pray that this, that we're able to get this off the ground. And it has been, and we've been online almost 2 years now. But that meant a lot to me. And I told you that on the phone the other day when you and I had a conversation, that really stood out to me because you wanted to help. You reached out. That's the kind of guy that you are. And I did want to mention just briefly on the faith side, because you've been a member of your church now for 35 plus years, I believe. And faith is a very important part of your life. Just let us know, a little bit about that and how important it is to just walk in faith every day.
It's gotten to be such a part, just to say who I am is going to sound like I'm a stuffed shirt, but it is who I am, because who I am is trying to very feverishly try to reach the pinnacle of what my God wants me to do, and that is to be like Him. Well, I'll never be like Him, but I can certainly try, and my little petty way of trying to be like that is at least my showing of trying to follow a person who I would like to emulate. I do a horrible job of doing it, but it gives me a target to shoot at, because if you don't have a target to shoot at, if you don't have at least a goal to shoot towards, you're just going to, or at least I'm going to wander aimlessly.
Yeah.
And that's the last thing I want to try to do, because I do enough of that on my own. But to have the faith that I have, the relationship I have, is the thing that gives me the ability, unbeknownst to me, gives me the ability to do a lot of things I do. Because a lot of times I'll even say something and I won't realize that I thought, where did that come from? And I've finally gotten to the point where I'm not going to say I feel comfortable, but at least I don't feel as freaked out as I used to, because all I try to do is just hope that I can stay out of the way, and he can work through me in some kind of way as the broken person I am. But it's that faith that gives me I call it the unfair advantage to wake up every morning and just stumble through life.
Yeah, it's funny. You said a while ago, you just said, where did that come from? And Karen and I were talking about the changes and how, things with children have changed over the years as far as the way hospitals believe that they should be interacted with and raised and all that. And then this was probably one of those things that you just said, that where did that come from? You said, yeah, but Rob, the one thing that hasn't changed is our creator. And I was like, that's cool, man. And so it just kind of put it all in a new perspective, because this show's all about being positive. And then all of a sudden I felt like, man, there's a little negativity trickling in, because I'm talking about why are the hospitals changing the way that they're raising these babies now. So, well, Russell, appreciate you being here this morning. Before we let you go, I did want to talk about a really awesome event that is coming up here. It is the Grill and Gather. Joining Russell, Humphrey, and friends for a good old-fashioned summertime gathering. I love that. And we need I need to get Cooter Roberson to read that in a Cooter voice, because it would just resonate with this community. The walls would tremble at the sound of his voice in a good way. But it's just great. I love this community. Love what you're doing here. Tell us more about this event that's happening a week from today from 5 to 7.
Rob, that's a community. You've said it. It's a community function where I'm trying to get the community to come to get together for activities, for hot dogs. We're going to have a lot of fun. We're going to have several celebrity, not to be named yet, chefs or rollers, as they call them. I didn't realize that people that grilled hot dogs were called rollers. So I learned something that day, and I still am a little myth about it, as if that's really true, or if they're pulling my leg. But anyway, we're going to have celebrity grillers, is what I'm going to call them. We're going to have a domino tournament. We're going to have some music. We're just going to have a good time. It's just going to kind of be a community get together to help me connect with some of the people that may not know who I am, because there's a lot of people in Huntsville that don't know who I am. I'm just one of many people in Huntsville. And I would like to reach as many people as I possibly can. In the campaign business, that's one of the things that I feel is the most important, and that is to go out and try to personally meet as many people as you can. Not so much to gather votes, and yes, that's the ultimate goal, but to experience and let them experience that. I would like to have involvement. I want people to get involved and understand, because this is your community. It's not the council's community. It's the citizens of Huntsville, and the more interaction we can have with them, the better we can be involved in what we're supposed to try to do to provide the services we want to provide for them. But this get together is a campaign knowledge based function, but it is everybody's welcome, and hopefully it's just going to be a real big good time. I can get to meet some people that I haven't been fortunate enough to meet along the line to this point. If you're new to Huntsville, come. If you're old to Huntsville, come. Everybody's welcome. It's just going to be a big to do, or a big blowout at 1029 12th Street. That's right around the corner from the studio here. And the domino tournament, music, food, some drinks, and hopefully a good time, and get to meet some of these fine citizens of Huntsville.
I learned something new every day on this show, and today I've learned what rollers are, Russell. Roller. You know where that probably came from? is convenience stores and the rollers there at the convenience store. And if I was one to grill a hot dog, that's probably how I'd do it. Not really. You need to put it. How do you? I like my. I'm just kidding. Those aren't. I will say this. I've been to like 7-Eleven. They do a pretty good job. I trust a good old 7-Eleven when I go in. Now some convenience stores, I'm not knocking any of them, but some of them, it's kind of questionable because you got to wonder how long have them things been rolling.
Right.
I like my hot dog. I'll be honest. It's got to have the grill marks. It just has to, and it's got to be a little burned. What about you, Russell?
Absolutely. You want the bar marks on it or the char marks on it. I don't need a lot of charcoal, but I do want a little bit. And your comment about the convenience stores, once they got to be 24-hour convenience stores, you really got to start thinking about it.
Yeah,
right.
Because those may be 48-hour hot dogs.
Because they've been rolling for a while.
Well, again, Russell Humphrey joining us. We appreciate you being here. I'll flash this up on the screen one more time for folks. It is the Grill and Gather. You can join Russell Humphrey and friends for a good old-fashioned summertime gathering. Hot dogs, BYOB, Domino's, silent auction, and more. This, again, going to take place at the Vintage, 5 to 7 p.m. there, 1029 12th Street, Monday, July the 24th, so a week from now. Be on the lookout on HelloHuntsvilleTX.com as we'll have an article up that talks more about this event, and we will mention it one more time on the show. I'm looking forward to being out there. I plan on going, Russell, and it'll be a lot of fun. And I love that. It's just people coming together. I was at HEB the other day after Bridget and I have had a couple of doctor's appointments now with baby Caden. We had to run by HEB. And, I'll say this, man. I take a lot of pride in going into town and seeing somebody in a nice way. Not for me, but it's always great when you go into town and you see someone because it just feels like community. It still feels like community, but this was the first time that I went into HEB and I did not see one single person that I knew.
Really?
And I was like, man, I need to do a better job of trying to get out and meet folks because there's a lot of folks that we interact with at the chamber, obviously. A lot of people at Rotary, and Rotary's a great organization. We get to meet a lot of folks on this show, but you're right. These events, like what you're having here coming up next week, is a way just to get out and meet more people. And I think it's going to be a lot of fun, Russell. So we appreciate you putting this together, and we encourage folks, come on out and support Russell, and let's have a good time coming up on Monday.
If you'll let me, I'd like to follow up on your HEB talk. Yesterday, my wife and I were at Brookshire's. We just ran in to grab a couple of things, and as we were going through the store, I saw a young man that I really thought I recognized, but it was one of these I just recognized some characters of his face. And I kind of thought I recognized him, and I kind of went on because I didn't quite think I really recognized him, and I just thought maybe not. And then I got to really thinking about it, and I said something to my wife, and she kind of looked at me crazy. And at that point, we had the opportunity to go back, and she wasn't going to let it go. So she went back to the young man and said, I know you're going to think this is going to be crazy, but did you by any sense live blah, 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 and da-da-da-da. And by that time, I walked back over there because I thought, okay, I'm not going to let her embarrass herself completely. So I went back over there. Now. Yeah, so I went back over there, and because I felt very confident that I knew who he was, but I couldn't remember because I am over a half a century old. So I could meet somebody a long time ago that maybe I don't remember their name. And I did not remember his name, but I did. Anyway, it turned out that he was the young man that we used to see riding his bike everywhere in Huntsville. He used to come out to where we lived, and every place, anytime I saw him, he'd be on his bike. And I mean, he might be all the way up at Interstate 45, and we lived way out 190. And he would always be on his bike. So we talked for a few minutes, and then all of a sudden he said, "Yeah, that's me." And the young lady that was with him started talking about him, and she said, and anyway, come to find out, we all kind of knew each other, but just knew us because we were people that lived in Huntsville. And it's just, and I know everybody thinks that everything's the same way with every place, but it's not. Every place has their own deal. But I'm telling you, in Huntsville, they are the most friendliest people, and if they're not when they get here, they will be shortly, because it's just a characteristic of Huntsville.
It is. It's a great place to be. We're always going to celebrate the success and the positivity of this community. That's why we exist here on Hello Huntsville. And again, we appreciate our good friend this morning, Mr. Russell Humphrey, joining us to give us a little bit of insight about just his journey, his interaction with Huntsville and all the great things that you've been a part of for so many years, and so many more great things on the horizon. And looking forward to that event coming up Monday. Not tonight, but the next night. So, Russell, thank you, my friend. Good to have you on.
Thank you very much.
And I know it's great to have, I don't know if we'll ever have another time where I'll have two city council people on the show at once. So it's been good, and appreciate both of you and what you do for our community. We'll step aside. We'll take a break. Karen and I will wrap it up when we come back. Stay with us. Again, let us know what you're thankful for, and we'll be back in a moment. It's your show. Good Morning Huntsville. Hey, good morning, Huntsville. Welcome back in on a National Yellow Pig Day today.
Yeah, who makes up these days anyway?
Somebody who just wants to create something to make a little bit of money. So if you knew it was National Yellow Pig Day today, let us know. But let me look, because sometimes I joke, and some of this stuff is really serious, though, by the way. Well, it's about mathematics. Did I say that right? Mathematics. Yeah. If you don't think the number 17 plays any role in our lives, consider 3 facts. The number 17, because today is the 17th, it's a premium number in the arena of prime numbers. Add the first 4 prime numbers together, and 17 is their sum. I was terrible at math, by the way. The average school bus weighs 17 tons with passengers inside. Each of the following words has 17 letters: interdisciplinary, telecommunication, misinterpretation, commercialization, electrophotometer. Those are all 17. The atomic number of chlorine is 17. Karen and I talk about that every show. We're biology guy. Pebble Beach has a specific road known as the 17-mile drive. The 17th Amendment of the U.S. Constitution gave citizens of the United States the right to elect their senators by popular vote. Boy, it's 17 today. And I don't know how this turned into National Yellow Pig Day, but the way you can celebrate, see how many times you can find the number 17 in the newspaper. Do 17 jumping jacks? I don't think so. I can't even do one. Order a round of drinks for 17 people.
Wow.
Well, I would like for 17 drinks to be ordered for me. Eat 17 spoonfuls of peach ice cream? I don't think so. Buy 17 lottery tickets? I don't think so. But one that Karen and I are going to do right after the show is we're going to get 17 tattoos of number 17. So we'll see it. We're heading to the tattoo part. Just kidding. Not doing any of that. But there you go. Whatever that National Day of is, I have no idea where that came from, Karen.
Me neither.
Just recently, pretty monumental mark for you. Again, Karen here, Walker County Federal Credit Union. I did want to make sure that we mentioned WCFCU again for all of your banking needs here in Huntsville. They will take excellent care of them. Go by and see them on Normal Park Drive. But a very important milestone just recently. What happened in the world of Karen Denman about a year ago?
Right. A year ago, if you were watching the show week before last, Delfina was on from Rodeo Mexican Restaurant. And a year ago, on July the 11th, we started our first night of trivia. So tonight, we are celebrating our 1 year, and there'll be some prizes, some drinks, some appetizers, all kinds of things given away throughout the night. So to all our regular people, thank you for still being there. And if you haven't been yet, tonight would be a great night to be there, to win some prizes and just hang out with some friends and have some fun.
1 year celebrating trivia night. Karen Denman, Denise putting on a great show over there. We still need to get out there, and I'm going to find a babysitter here. I don't know when a good time for a babysitter is for a newborn. I think maybe a month, 2 months into it. Do you know of a good time that
I don't.
Because Braylon's 19 months, and we've only had a babysitter for her a few times, which Deneen Thompson has been phenomenal, and so is Sally Hosey. Both of those women have been incredible. They've helped out and watched Braylon for us. But I got to figure it out. I think when Braylon was either 2 or 3 weeks old, we took her to a Sam Houston basketball game. She was on the front row. But she was protected, don't worry. Like, she was in the car seat, so you had the protection of a basketball
bubble
game.
wrap, yep.
Yeah, bubble wrapped up. So, well, Karen, been a fun morning. I always look forward to these, by the way. I missed you last week, missed everybody. Appreciate Garrick Long for filling in. Did want to mention, too, something that hits home, right, with Sam Houston State University, one of the areas that it's known for. Today is International Criminal Justice Day today as well. World Emoji Day. There it is, National Tattoo Day today. National Peach Ice Cream Day. So that's why it said go get 17 tattoos with the number 17 and eat peach ice cream.
I can do the peach ice cream, but I don't think I'm going to tattoo 17.
You know what I'm upset about, Karen? I do have to mention this. I'm not a big fan of change. I mean, I like things. Sometimes I feel like, the best is, I always say the best is really yet to come. Because I truly believe that. If we wake up every day, and maybe we're in a rut today, maybe that's the message. I know I was joking. Or maybe the message today is you woke up today in a rut. And I want to encourage you to just hold on to that faith and hope that the best is yet to come. And if you do that, I believe every day is going to get a little bit better. You may have some setbacks, but you're going to go forward. But I had a major setback this weekend. Of course, celebrating the life of Caden, happy that he's here, family's in town, nothing better than that. I mean, it's just, on this earth, there's nothing better than family. But I will say this, I'm a little bit upset because growing up, I used to always say, Mom, here comes the Schwann's man. That's not going to happen anymore. Schwann's is changing their name that they've had since the 1950s. You know what I'm talking about, the Schwann's man, the Schwann's truck.
The truck with all the food on it.
They're changing their name to Yellow. It is the dumbest thing I've ever heard. And I'm trying to be positive on this show, but they're changing, because we ordered a bunch of, and I thought of this because of ice cream, got all these boxes in, and it said Yellow on them, YELLOH with an exclamation mark. And I asked the guy, I was like, what is this? Oh, we're changing our name. I said, man, that just sounds so dumb. Yellow.
Yeah, it kind of does.
Think about it. Like to me, the Schwann's man was like the ice cream truck, except they had so much other stuff. They had the push pops. Well, now it's changed. So what are you going to say? Oh, the Yellow Man's coming. It just doesn't sound good. The Schwann's man was what we said, and now things have changed, and my children will never know what it's like to say, here comes the Schwann's man.
Right.
Do you ever order from Schwann's?
Yellow Swan? I don't know.
No, they're getting rid of the Schwann's completely, the logo and everything.
Huh. I had not heard that.
There you go.
But I also didn't know about National Yellow Pig Day either. So
yeah, there you
that.
go. That's how we're going to wrap it up today. Again, appreciate Karen Denman, Walker County Federal Credit Union. George Pitt saying something there. I won't even read it. Laura was saying, that's a weird name. I looked forward to Schwann's ice cream. Same here, the Push Pops. We had the orange sherbet Push Pops. Well, hey, friends, it's been a fun one tomorrow. Make sure to join us again. We will have our great friend Kimberly Weezer joining us from CASA, talking about their upcoming bingo event that'll be happening on Friday. So Kim will be joining us then. And then also on Wednesday, we will have the chef from Cafe Texan coming in. And we still have a couple of openings. Obviously, with me being out last week, I try to fill up our calendar. We have an opening on Thursday and Friday. So if someone's out there today and said, hey, I'd love to be a part of the show, maybe you're a nonprofit, we'd love to have you on. Just send us a comment. You can email us hello@hellohuntsvilletx.com. Karen, before we go, I know that you got to get to work. I've got a lot to do today as well. I do want to remind folks we are gearing up for our Rays of Hope summer fundraising drive. That happening on Saturday, July the 29th. I'll be making some calls today to secure some final sponsorships for that. We have identified all 5 of our nonprofits, and the article will be updated later today to find out what items they need. It is a donation drive-through event Saturday, July the 29th from 6 a.m. to 6 p.m. If you'd like to be a part of it and sponsor this event, we'd love to have your support. We're getting T-shirts made, little goodie bags, and then Elliot's Jewelers also giving away jewelry. Every hour we're raffling away jewelry at this event, so 12 pieces of jewelry that he will be raffling away. It's going to be a great event to give back to our community. If you'd like to be a part of it, again, email us hello@hellohuntsvilletx.com. Sponsorship opportunities still available as low as $150 to be a part of this event that's going to celebrate and help out 5 nonprofits here in Huntsville, Texas.
That's awesome.
Karen, been fun today. Thank you
Yes,
for being on.
it
It's
has.
always a privilege and good to be back in studio. That'll wrap it up today. Make sure to join us again tomorrow as we will continue to highlight all the good that is happening right here in our community. As I end every single broadcast, I want to remind you this morning that we're not strong enough alone to make it on our own. We need each other, friends. Provide a word of encouragement. Lend a hand of support. Somebody out there needs you. Thanks to Walker County Federal Credit Union, Elliot's Jewelers, Paul Oley, and so many others that help bring you this show. Until then, God bless. Good morning. We'll see you later, Huntsville. Have a great day.